Welcome everyone to the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pickering. That's right, Lo-Fi's and low fidelity, low quality, in your face, messy as can be global news show. Here we're going to talk about that famous question: what's going on in the world today? It's Tuesday, Lo-Fi Nation, and you know what that means. It's time for Tuesday's Top 10 list. Every Tuesday from now on, we'll be looking at the global indicators and surveys to see what countries hold the top 10 rankings in particular categories. We'll cover things like GDP, GDP per capita, HDI, Gini, largest populations, largest countries by size, happiest countries, and many, many more. And if you're unsure what some of those things mean, no worries, Lo-Fi Nation. We'll be covering each one of them before we jump into them. Today's top 10 list: most populous countries. I thought after last week's top 10 largest countries by size, those largest by population would be a great follow-up. Taking the actual population of a country can be quite tricky and also quite costly for any government, but especially for the largest countries in the world. Our figures are brought to us today by the United Nations and are used for the year of 2019. So let's jump right into it. Our first country with the 10th largest population in the world is Mexico with 128 million people. Coming in at number 9 is Russia with 146 million people. At number 8, Bangladesh at 163 million people. Number 7, Nigeria with 207 million people. Number 6, Brazil at 211 million people. And now, coming to the bottom half of our list, starting it out at number 5, Pakistan with 221 million people. Number 4, Indonesia with 270 million people. Number 3, the United States at 329 million people. Number 2 is India, jumping up over the US by over a billion more people at 1.366 billion people. And the number 1 most populous country in the world is China at 1.433 billion people. Looking at this list, you can first off see that as far as continents go, Asia is far more populated than the rest of the world. This list contains countries from almost every continent, save Europe. However, if you include the EU as one country, it would be number 3 at 446 million people. Now, there's currently almost 7.5 billion people on Earth. So how many people of that number live in these 11 places? The answer: 4.914 billion people. And you know how much we love math here at Lo-Fi. So what percentage of that is the global population? 4.914 divided by 7.594 gives you 65% of the Earth's population live in these 11 places. That's almost 2/3 of the total population of the planet. Think about it. There's almost 200 countries in the world today, and nearly 2/3 of the Earth's population live in only 11 places or countries. These are also the largest economies in the world, and many of them are still growing, barely yet reaching their full potential. And these are also the largest geographic and size countries too. Remember, lots of people, lots of land and resources. These are the basic building blocks of the prosperity of a country. Also note that several of these are world powers and regional powers, not just economically, but also militarily speaking. In short, it all boils down to one thing: lots of people equals lots of power. Any way you look at it, people are the power of a country. That being said, you can see just by looking at this list how the balance of power could and likely will change moving into the future. It'll be interesting to see how things really do play out moving forward. And that's this Tuesday's Top 10. Please write in with your questions, comments, or requests for countries for our news segments, or a top 10 global list you want to see at lofipolisci at planetmail.com. That's Lofi, L-O-F-I, Poli, P-O-L-I, Sci, S-C-I, at planetmail.com. Always remember that Lofi Poli Sci is more than just me. It's the we that we be. Let me say thank you so much for listening. Stay safe, wash those hands, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. Pickering, signing off.